Hello, I'm Mark Vanderpool, City Manager. On behalf of our finance team, we are pleased to submit the fiscal year 2021 budget, which begins on July 1st. This is the first time in the city's history that we've had to extend the submittal dates of the budget to address a prolonged emergency. This delay, however, allowed more time to assess the projected declines in revenue to better align expenditures with reduced revenue projections. The fiscal year 2021 budget prioritizes critical expenditures with a continued emphasis on capital, infrastructure, and road improvements. Unfortunately, millions of dollars had to be trimmed from the proposed budget. These unmet needs, like staffing of the 5th ambulance, will be deferred until future revenue projections can be solidified. The earliest point in the fiscal year in which unmet needs can be addressed further is expected to be December. Thankfully, the city's worked hard to build back our reserves from the Great Recession. Reserves that back then hit a low of 6%, increasing though to 25% this year. The proposed budget will reduce our reserves by a modest amount of approximately 3%. In closing, I would like to thank the Mayor and City Council for their strong leadership over the past year and especially the past few months. I'd like to thank our directors and managers for not only their effort assisting in preparing the budget, but also working tirelessly to assure city business continued during the stay-at-home orders. I'm especially grateful to our city employees who found a way to balance their work duties with personal commitments during these unprecedented times. Lastly, it takes about 4 to 6 months to prepare the city's $200 million plus budget under normal circumstances. This year, our finance team, led by Jennifer Varney, had to completely revise and update the budget over the past 30 days, which required many long days, including weekends, to accomplish. I'm most grateful for their extraordinary effort. The city is well positioned financially to weather this fierce financial storm caused by COVID-19. While there undoubtedly will be some additional turbulence, the dark clouds we have all lived under the past few months are already giving way to brighter skies. Thank you for taking time to watch this video and learn more about the proposed budget. You can find the detailed budget on our website at sterling-heights.net. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Varney, and I am the Finance and Budget Director for the City of Sterling Heights. I would like to share an overview of the proposed 2021 fiscal year budget. Needless to say, the city is facing challenging times due to the unprecedented public health crisis. The proposed budget reflects anticipated reductions in revenues resulting from the economic downturn and proposes spending cuts and a measured use of general fund balance to make up the shortfall. The total city budget is $213.9 million, which can be broken down into 5 major fund types as depicted here. In total, the budget decreased 21% or $55.6 million over last year. The major changes are broken down on this slide. A decrease in the Capital Projects Fund of $28.5 million. $24 million was budgeted for the construction of a new public works building in the prior year. In addition, the sidewalk gap and repair programs have been eliminated from the proposed budget. Only the most critical capital projects are included. Departmental requests originally totaled $11.8 million. $5.9 million of projects, or 50% of requests, were originally to be proposed. However, this was cut an additional $1.3 million to a total of $4.6 million due to the COVID-19 crisis. A decrease in major road reconstruction of $10.1 million is due to the completion of several large projects in the prior year. Although we are anticipating a cut of nearly $2.4 million in road funding from the state over the next 3 years, the city is still able to fund $6.1 million for new projects this year. A decrease of $10 million in the Parks and Recreation Fund is due to the wind down of construction funded through the Recreating Recreation millage. A decrease of $4.2 million in facilities improvements is due to the timing of renovation projects that were funded through a $20 million bond that was issued in 2018. A decrease of $2.3 million in the road bond construction fund is due to a slight delay in the Mound Road project. A decrease of $2 million in local road construction. This is just due to timing of projects. Thanks to the Safe Streets millage, $5.1 million of neighborhood road reconstruction is funded in the proposed budget. A decrease of $550,000 in the water and sewer fund is primarily due to grant-funded sewer televising in the prior year. These decreases were partially offset by an increase of $2.6 million in the general fund. The general fund budget totals $108.1 million and makes up over 50% of the total city budget. The general fund can be divided into the city's 8 departmental budgets as depicted here. The total general fund budget increased 2.5% or $2.6 million over last year. The main variances are listed here. Starting with last year's budget of $105.4 million, then adding $2.4 million due to contractual wage increases for employees, $2.1 million due to an increase in the required contribution to the police and fire pension fund, just under $400,000 in increased health insurance costs due to an 8.5% rate increase. This increase has been offset by employee co-insurance contributions. Current employees contribute up to 10% of insurance costs, dependent on union contract. And an increase to the general employee pension contribution of $200,000. These increases are offset by savings of $925,000 due to a decrease in the contribution to the retiree medical health care plan, savings of $800,000 due to a lower transfer to the capital projects fund, resulting from a reduction of capital expenditures and a use of capital project fund balance. Savings of $475,000 in debt service due to the payoff of the debt on City Center Commons in the prior year. And a $250,000 decrease in liability insurance due to a one-time reduction in expected claims, bringing us to this year's total proposed budget of $108.1 million. Many cuts were made over the last 30 days from the budget as it was to originally have been proposed. You can see here that proposed general fund expenses originally totaled $110.3 million. The $2.2 million of expenditures that have been cut from the proposed budget are detailed here. The contribution to the retiree medical fund was reduced by $925,000. The city is still making the total recommended contribution as calculated by the actuary. All previously proposed personnel additions have been eliminated, including 6 firefighters, 4 fire cadets, and multiple interns and part-time positions. There is no increase in full-time headcount included in the proposed budget. As previously mentioned, the sidewalk gap and repair programs have been eliminated for this year, along with postponement of employee-wide training initiatives such as Lean Six Sigma training and the employee one-day sabbaticals that were introduced last year. Now let's look at general fund revenues. Budgeted general fund revenues totaled $105.5 million, broken down into major categories as depicted here. Property taxes still make up most of general fund revenue at 63% of the total. Total general fund revenues decreased by $840,000 or 0.7%. Revenue decreases in state revenue sharing, court fines, building permit revenue, and investment income total over $4 million and are all attributable to the economic impact of the COVID-19 crisis. An increase in the revenue collected from the police and fire millage of $2.2 million offsets these decreases. However, this revenue is used specifically for the contribution to the police and fire pension plan and therefore is not available for other general fund uses. Furthermore, the increase in the police and fire millage was offset by a reduction in the general operating millage rate. So the overall city millage rate remains the same as last year. General operating revenue increased only $850,000 or 2% this year, which is entirely due to the inflationary taxable value increase of 1.9%. Total general fund revenue was reduced by nearly $5 million from what was originally to be proposed in the budget. As you can see from this chart, the city's tax rate continues to be one of the lowest in the county and is 6.3 mils below the average of all cities in Macomb. The proposed general fund expenditures exceed expected general fund revenues by $2.6 million. Reductions in state shared revenues, court fines, building permits, and interest income, as well as a reduction in the general operating tax rate, have reduced this year's expected revenue by nearly $5 million. Over $2.2 million of expenditures have been removed from the budget, leaving proposed use of fund balance of $2.6 million. The city has worked diligently to build up fund balance since the Great Recession. As of the 2019 audit, general fund balance was nearly 25% of expenditures. This is what fund balance is for, to help the city weather unexpected financial storms without immediate drastic cuts to residential services. This crisis is unlike any other we have faced, and the truth is there are many unknowns in the future. Strategic use of fund balance over the next few years, while continuing to budget for critical needs, will ensure continued strong financial position during this unprecedented crisis. As you can see from this chart, despite expected lower revenue in the last few months of the current fiscal year, fund balance is still expected to increase slightly to about 26% of expenditures at year-end. The proposed use of fund balance will reduce the overall percentage to 23%. This is still a healthy level and will allow the city time to analyze the changing economic conditions over the next 6 months and bring proposed budget adjustments to City Council in December at the regular budget amendment. And now we will hear detailed information regarding departmental budgets from each director, starting with City Administration. The City Administration Office consists of 8 departments, including City Management, Facilities Maintenance, Information Technology, City Clerk, and the 4 offices under the Finance and Budget umbrella: Assessing, Financial Services, Treasury, and Purchasing. The City Administration budget totals $9.7 million, an increase by about $300,000 over last year, a 3.2% increase. The increase is entirely due to personnel costs, in addition to contractual wage increases and rising health insurance costs. A facilities maintenance director position was added in January of 2020. Additional wages for election workers are also budgeted due to the increased staffing required for the upcoming presidential election. Supplies and other costs decreased this year, primarily due to the one-time funding of promotional materials and supplies for the 2020 census in the prior year. The city management budget includes required costs for an outside assessment center for anticipated police and fire promotions and increased software maintenance fees for new human resources software. The assessing office includes charges for a new support agreement for Pivot Point software, which allows appraisers to use tablets to complete fieldwork online, and also includes capital funds to replace a 2006 and a 2011 Crown Vic, both with very high mileage. They will be replaced with 4-wheel drive Ford Escapes, which are necessary to allow the appraisers to safely perform fieldwork during the winter months. The Financial Services Office is realizing savings of nearly $90,000 due to a one-time reduction in software maintenance fees due to the conversion to the BS&A financial system. No maintenance fees will be incurred on this system until next budget year. The Purchasing Office will seek a cost savings due to the hiring of a new purchasing manager at a lower cost based on a first-year salary at the beginning of the salary scale. The Treasury Office has only a 1.6% increase, entirely due to personnel costs. City Management, Financial Services, and Treasury are all receiving replacement personal computers as part of the 5-year replacement plan. Next up is City Clerk Melanie Riska, who will discuss the City Clerk budget.
Thank you, Jennifer. This year, the city clerk's proposed budget includes an increased election expenses to accommodate the 2020 primary and presidential elections. The city typically realizes a 67% voter turnout at presidential elections, which means more workers and more supplies are needed. The capital budget also includes $4,400 for an extra high-speed capacity letter opener, which is necessary to accommodate the growing number of absentee ballots. At the March 10th presidential primary, we had an increase of 50% in absentee ballots. It is expected that the number of absentees will continue to increase dramatically through the 2020 primary and presidential elections. Additionally, we are kicking off our Vote from Home campaign to encourage voters to apply for an absentee ballot. Interested voters can visit sterling-heights.net/vote to be placed on a list to automatically receive an absent voter ballot application every election cycle. Remember, all voters are eligible to vote from home. Currently, the State Bureau of Elections, along with the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks, is working hard to determine a plan of action to keep voters and workers safe and healthy in our current environment. At the May 5th election, the state conducted a primarily absentee ballot election and reduced the number of in-person precincts. All voters in communities that held an election received an absent voter ballot application. It is possible that this may be an option for the upcoming elections, but it's still too early to tell. Our Vote from Home campaign will increase voter awareness on their options to vote in a convenient manner. Now I'll give an update on the 2020 census. Efforts are still underway to ensure that Sterling Heights residents are counted. I'm pleased to report that as of this recording, Sterling Heights has an 80.2% response rate and ranks #1 in the nation of large cities and townships with a population over 120,000. The efforts of mayor and council, along with the entire Sterling Heights team and volunteers, have made this possible. But we're not finished yet. We still need to count about 20% of our population, and we need them to fill out their 2020 census. That's so we don't lose our critical funding and representation. For information on how you can volunteer to become a census ambassador, visit our website at sterling-heights.net/census2020. To complete your census, visit my2020census.gov. Thank you for your time and consideration of the 2020-2021 proposed budget. The clerk's office looks forward to an exciting and challenging year. And now, let me introduce Jared Bedoin to discuss the facilities maintenance budget.
Thank you, Melanie. The primary goal of the Office of Facility Maintenance is to maintain all city facilities in a safe, clean, and economical manner for the benefit of the residents and staff. The city's direction for the Office of Facility Maintenance has changed significantly through focusing on the infrastructure improvements, increased efficiencies, and sustainability at all facilities. The department has been restructured to better meet the city's needs, improve preventative maintenance, and accommodate the daily demand on the department. The Facilities Improvement Bond that was issued in 2018 continues to fund the major improvements to City Hall, Police Department, Public Library, and 41A District Court. These improvements include heating and cooling replacements, electrical and plumbing improvements, renovation of office spaces, and new finishes, flooring, and furniture throughout. These facilities have not seen significant improvements to infrastructure, workflow, or finishes in over 40 years. Fluorescent lighting, worn and torn carpet, antiquated plumbing fixtures, and degraded finishes have plagued these facilities for years. The Office of Facility Maintenance maintains the contracts for custodial services, landscape services, snow removal services, building maintenance, building security maintenance, and pest control for 17 city facilities totaling over 463,000 square feet. The proposed capital improvements for 2020-2021 include Phase 2 of the City Hall entrance upgrades, which includes a new Veterans Memorial and improved landscaping, replacement of the City Hall exterior insulation finishing system, Phase 2 of the Senior Center roofing project, which is a replacement of shingles of over 20 years old, addition of an employee sidewalk at the police department, repairs to the police garage floor with epoxy, replacement of police department employee lockers, replacement of concrete approach at Fire Station 3, repair to the masonry block at Fire Station 1, and some major repairs at the fire training tower at Fire Station 5. And now the Information Technology Director, Steve Dion, will discuss the IT budget.
Thank you, Jared. Today, I'm excited to present an overview of the 2020-2021 Information Technology budget. Information technology continues to follow the blueprint that was established through the 2030 Visioning Plan and the 5-year Information Technology Plan. The proposed capital projects and equipment for the 2020-2021 fiscal year include server hardware, storage, and licensing to support the BSNA assessing, tax, building, and financial software, the renovation of data closets at the Nature Center and Senior Center, the replacement of 62 computers in the offices of Building, City Management, Community Relations, 41A District Court, Finance, Fire, IT, Planning, and Treasury, the replacement of computer equipment for 20 police vehicles, and upgrades to the in-car police camera software system, additional equipment for digital plan review and markup in the City Development Department, and transportation management software for Parks and Recreation. In addition to these projects, capital funds are proposed for technology to be included in the City Center renovations and the new construction of the Public Works facility. Technology upgrades will include audiovisual systems, access control systems, camera systems, Wi-Fi, and data wiring. Technology improvements at these facilities will increase security, allow standardization of equipment across facilities, and provide more functionality for employees. The proposed 2020-2021 information technology budget continues to focus heavily on security. The Security Overlay Program is an integral part of the 5-year technology plan and continues to provide guidance for all technology projects. New software will allow for 2-phase authentication for employees accessing city resources remotely. The Information Technology Security Team has been very busy conducting gap analysis meetings, providing security awareness training, and updating security policies. The proposed budget provides funding for updated security software, event tracking, and network monitoring. These tools are critical to secure the network and maintain PCI, HIPAA, and CJIS compliance. Sterling Heights continues to invest in technology, and these investments have worked. The strong support of the 5-year technology plan by City Council and City Administration has allowed IT to provide outstanding service and support to employees as the traditional workplace has shifted to a mobile environment. The Security Overlay Program, the Campus Fiber Project, the implementation of remote access via SSL VPN, enhancements to network equipment, upgraded internet bandwidth, and the new phone system have allowed information technology the flexibility needed to provide support in these challenging times. Thank you for your consideration of the 2020-2021 budget proposed for the Office of Information Technology.
Now I'm with Tammy Turgeon, the Library Director, to discuss the 2021 proposed budget for the library. The library budget totals $2.9 million and increased by just $20,000 over last year. That's less than a 1% increase. Most of the increase is due to personnel costs, increases in wages due to contract requirements, an increase in the required funding for pensions, and an increase in health insurance costs. Supplies and other costs increased only $7,000, primarily to expand the library's digital book collection. The library is planning to purchase a table and umbrella for the Children's Art Garden and a disc repair machine for the circulation department. And now Tammy will discuss her departmental budget in more detail.
Thank you, Jennifer. I wanted to highlight some of the items in the library's budget for fiscal year 2021. There's a proposed increase in funding in the books line item of $3,230 for more ebooks. As we finished up this fiscal year, the library moved $20,000 of the print books budget to ebooks to meet demand due to the library's temporary closure during the COVID-19 pandemic. And from March to April of this year, digital materials circulation increased 15%. There is a small increase in funding in the audiovisual materials line item of $500 for additional DVDs and Blu-rays. The circulation of these materials, in addition to CDs, was 33% of the library's circulation of materials last fiscal year. This continues to be a strong part of the library's collection. There is also an increase in funding in the other contracted services line item of $3,540 for digital resources. The RB Digital Newspapers database will be added due to the Suburban Library Cooperative paying for the Ancestry genealogy database. The library's capital requests that are being proposed for approval are a table and umbrella for the Children's Art Garden at a cost of $3,320. This is a really popular area of the library due to the mural and the oversized checkerboard, and there's currently only one table available. The library has also requested a disc repair machine for the circulation department at a cost of $2,650, including supplies for the year. It's even more important during this pandemic to keep our materials clean and in good condition. Using Lean Six Sigma principles, we felt that having an additional machine in circulation would eliminate time that's currently taken to walk items upstairs to be cleaned or repaired when requested by the Technical Services Department. The library's performance objectives include using Lean Six Sigma principles to improve our library materials workflows in the Technical Services and Circulation departments, promoting the library's early literacy resources, and continuing to work cooperatively and creatively with the Parks and Recreation Department. I'm also the staff liaison for the Historical Commission. This budget request is for an additional $90. The supplies line item is the major expense for this budget. Maintenance and development of displays for the Upton House Museum is a top priority of the Historical Commission. And with the renovation that occurred earlier this year, having the museum open weekly has provided more access for our residents. The supplies line item increased $340 to provide for new displays in the Upton House Museum, and the contracted services decreased by $280 due to the Historical Commission working on archiving donated photos themselves. The membership line item increased $30 due to increased membership fees. Thank you for your consideration of the Sterling Heights Public Library's 2021 proposed budget. The library staff and I look forward to seeing all our patrons when we're able to open again, and we can't wait to share our updated summer reading program with you.
The police department consists of 4 divisions: administration, investigations, operations, and support services. The police department budget totals $37.3 million and increased $2.1 million, a 6% increase over last year. Personnel costs rose $2 million. Wages increased just under $1 million, and health insurance costs increased about $200,000. The pension liability increased $1.3 million. However, this was offset by a decrease in the recommended contribution to the retiree medical plan. Other costs increased due to a grant-funded tactical training program for the SRT unit and an increase of just under $30,000 in charges from Macomb County Dispatch. And now the police chief, Dale Wojciechowski, will discuss the police budget in further detail.
Thank you, Jennifer. The police department strives to provide outstanding services to our 133,000 residents, business owners, and guests. The 2021 budget focuses on essential equipment, progressive technology, and performance goals to make sure we have a proper personnel and tools to get the job done and keep our crime rate at one of the lowest in the state for the size of our city. Some highlighted expenditures are $330,000 to replace 10 high-mileage traffic and patrol cars, $292,000 to replace 9 high-mileage investigative vehicles, $88,000 for a 3D laser scanner that can virtually reconstruct serious traffic crashes and crime scenes. This technology will help us in prosecution and also allow us to open up roadways quicker following a serious vehicle crash. $3,600 for a graphic-intensive computer necessary to utilize our new 3D laser scanner, and $30,000 to upgrade and replace 20 old taser guns to the most current model. It should be noted that the 9 investigative vehicles, the 3D laser scanner, and graphics computer, and tasers will be purchased with state narcotic forfeiture funds. $120,000 to replace 19 in-car camera systems, 60 vehicles have these camera systems installed, and this 3-year project will upgrade all of the cameras as they enter end of life and warranty expiration. $158,000 to upgrade and replace 20 in-car ruggedized computers and cellular modems. Again, this is a 3-year project to cover all 60 cars in the patrol and traffic fleet. $34,000 to fund red dot advanced gun sighting systems for all of our police officers' duty weapons. $26,000 to replace and upgrade 10 in-car vehicle speed radar units. $11,000 to replace and upgrade 5 handheld laser vehicle speed measuring devices. And $14,000 for additional detective training courses to attain professional expert forensic investigator certifications. We have $41,000 scheduled this year for our special response team. This training will pay for advanced tactical training, helping our officers stay safe and manage high-risk police situations like barricaded gunmen and active shooter situations. This training is paid entirely through a federal grant. We've also just recently applied for and will be receiving a $59,000 grant to increase police presence in our 26 neighborhood and 5 major parks throughout the city. Our parks have seen unprecedented number of residents utilizing these public spaces due to coronavirus and government-issued stay-at-home orders. Moving on to performance objectives for the upcoming budget year. Our first priority is to continue working through the accreditation process with the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Program. We have instituted many new policies and revised dozens of operating procedures in order to make sure our department is following national best practice standards. This has been a labor-intensive project and has required hundreds of hours of research and policy implementation that we hope to finish in 2021. The police department will also be creating a task force for retail shopping plazas, focusing on public nuisances, smoking, illegal gambling, and illegal alcohol sales and use. We want to make sure our shopping areas are safe and clean for our residents and businesses to enjoy. Recently, our department gained statewide attention with the kickoff of a pilot program in partnership with Families Against Narcotics, and we created an opiate overdose quick response team. Specially trained officers, nurses, and peer recovery coaches made house calls within 72 hours of an overdose, and we worked with the user to get them into a recovery program that day. Initial program results have showed a 60% success rate, and we'll work to continue this grant-funded program into the next budget year as we continue to fight this terrible opiate drug problem. Police officer mental health is a big problem throughout our entire career field, with 228 officers taking their own life last year compared to 132 officers who were killed in the line of duty. As part of the accreditation process, we're working to implement a critical incident stress management team. These specially trained officers would continuously support critical incident debriefings with our officers in order to improve officer mental wellness. That concludes my overview of significant purchases and operational improvements that the police department is proposing for this upcoming budget year. We appreciate the support from the city and all of our elected leaders, ensuring the police department is well staffed and equipped to handle every emergency situation. On a final note, we're still awaiting the findings of a manpower study that was commissioned by the city in order to review our staffing, operational layout, and personnel deployment. This study will help us guide future hiring decisions and manpower allocation issues as we move into the 2021 budget year. Thank you.
The fire department consists of 3 divisions: administration, extinguishment, and prevention. The fire department budget totals $22.6 million and increased $1.6 million or 7.4% over last year. Personnel cost increases make up the majority of the increase. Wage increases total $600,000, and the increase to the pension liability totaled $920,000. However, this was offset by a reduction in the recommended retiree medical contribution. Personnel costs also increased due to the anticipated hiring of a fire chief who will be compensated at the full rate. The current fire chief is a rehired retiree, and the city realizes savings due to his negotiated compensation package. And now the fire chief, Chris Martin, will discuss the fire department budget in further detail.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'd like to take an opportunity to run through some of the fire department budget things for the year. The first thing is capital. One of the most important things is we have a fire engine in the budget this year. That will replace the fire engine at Station 5, which by the time we do replace that, it will be 14 years old and have over 210,000 miles on it. So that'll allow us to move that vehicle into reserve and then get rid of one that is a late 90s model. We're also replacing the battalion chief vehicle, which again, by the time we replace that, will be very high mileage and allow us to move that one into reserve battalion chief and get rid of the one that's 20 years old. Some of the other purchases we're doing is we're getting a life pack monitor. The life pack monitor is on all of our ALS units. It looks at people's heart rhythms. It takes their blood pressure and things like that. Very expensive piece of equipment, and so we like to process those through in replacements, in stages. So we also are replacing 20 self-contained breathing apparatus. This is going to be part of a 3-year plan. We're getting some of them in this current budget, some in the proposed budget, and we hope to move that into next year's budget as well. So we're replacing all of the ones out of the department within that one little over a year period, which is very important to the operation, and 18 air bottles that go along with it. We're also purchasing 5 4-gas monitors. These are monitors that we have on all of our apparatus that allow us to tell what's in the atmosphere, whether it's carbon monoxide or some flammable vapors and things like that. And 1 thermal imaging camera. The thermal imaging cameras, they get outdated after so many years, and so we're replacing them one at a time as they go. In addition, the last capital thing we're purchasing for the vehicles and things like that is another remote deck gun, which is a piece of equipment that can flow a lot of water and be unmanned if we need to, battle a large fire. So we also have some capital projects that we're excited to get involved with. The Fire Station 3 front approach concrete is getting replaced. That's in pretty bad shape, so that'll be good for that area, good for that fire station. There's some brick and block work at Station 1, which opened up in 2001. Some of the brick and mortar work in the back needs to be replaced so that it doesn't damage any further from water that gets in there. And also, we have some substantial changes coming to the training tower here at Fire Headquarters. That building that training tower was built in 1992 with this building. And not only does it have structural problems with it, we're also going to take this opportunity to put some state-of-the-art things in that. So those are pretty much the capital projects that we have come to the fire department. Some of the initiatives that we're continuing with, recruitment is going to be a big one. As you know, unfortunately, we had to cut the cadet program, but it doesn't mean that we won't need firefighters over the next couple of years. So we're going to do as much recruiting as we can, whatever way we can. We still don't know, what things are going to look like with fire academies and when things will open up and get going and how our recruitment will actually be. So, but we need to focus on recruitment. We kept the junior fire academy program in there. That was something we teamed up with Utica Schools with. But again, until Utica Schools knows exactly what school looks like, it's, we can't really figure out what we're going to do with that. So it's in the budget. We'll figure it out as that goes. In fire prevention, a couple of new initiatives they're going to have. One is they're going to have a fire extinguisher training program with the state-of-the-art component that allows you to train people to use fire extinguishers without actually spraying the contents of the fire extinguisher, which is not good for the environment, and it's also messy and it's very expensive. So the thing that we're purchasing, we think will allow us to train a lot of businesses and schools, and the minimal fee that we charge will allow us to recoup those costs over about a 2-3 year period. The other thing that fire prevention will have is what's called Mobilize. They're going to get some software for doing inspections. That software will link up when they're in the field doing inspections. It'll link up with our data system in the computers here at the station, so that all that stuff is updated as they do it, and it's accessible to all the other fire trucks as they need it. And then last but not least, let's get into transport. So transport has been overall proven to be a very healthy system. Revenues are surpassing the costs. We have seen a downtick in transports caused by the COVID situation over the last couple of months, but we think that'll smooth out. But our incidents are increasing in severity due to COVID. So, we don't know how long this is going to last, but we'll see where it takes us. Ambulance maintenance is going to see some higher costs. Obviously, our ambulances are getting older; they're getting more mileages. So we anticipated this, and that's in the system. And in fact, this year, in this next budget, we'll probably do our first re-chassis. We think we'll get to a point with one of our ambulances where the box itself can be taken off and put on a brand new chassis, which means you're getting a new motor, transmission, frame, but the box that the patients and the firefighters are in gets put on a new chassis. So we think we'll probably have to do one of those within this next budget. So all that was planned in in the transport model when it was built in 2016. Also, as the budget indicates, we're allocating money for the QAP tax. That was a very weird thing that came out a couple of years ago, but for us, it's a plus. The tax we're going to pay is offset to the positive by the money we'll bring in from Medicaid transport. So we'll see a plus in revenue from the QAP situation. And then, as you know, we had anticipated of putting the 5th ambulance in service for 24 hours because our incident load did increase. Originally, the budget had 6 firefighters in there. Unfortunately, with everything going on, it was decided that it's not a wise time to add staffing to the organization because of all the things that we don't know are going to come, with revenue generations over the next couple of years. So, since we put the brakes on hiring 6 firefighters, we still need those 6 firefighters, but we're going to continue staffing that ambulance on an overtime basis. In fact, we're going to move from 12 hours, which it was in service from 8A to 8P, to 24 hours on overtime, so that we have those 5 ambulances in service 24/7. As far as the 6 firefighters, like I say, we're still in the need for that. At this present time, we're still waiting the manpower study, which will give us some important data. By the end of this week, we will be putting in for a SAFER grant for those 6 firefighters, which should tell us in the fall whether or not we can get that with substantial funding from the federal government. And so we're going to continue to look at how those 6 firefighters can be brought on board. But right now, we're just going to continue with the overtime and keep that ambulance in service, which is healthy for the whole ambulance service in the city because it keeps one ambulance at every fire station. So that's all I have for the budget, and I'm open to any questions if there might be any.
The Department of Public Works consists of 3 divisions: Fleet Maintenance, Public Works Center, and Street Services. The Department of Public Works is also responsible for refuse collection and the management of the water and sewer system. The Public Works budget totals $6.6 million and increased just $70,000 over last year, a 1.1% increase. The addition of 3 part-time laborers is proposed to replace contractual snow plowing services. This is an overall cost savings to the city. Wage increases and increased health insurance costs were offset by the transfer of 1 full-time laborer to the Water and Sewer Division and an increase in the employee cost share for health insurance effective January 1st, 2021. Refuse costs total $4.7 million this year, an increase of $150,000. Yard weight collection costs are up as the number of weeks for collection was increased from 27 to 37. There is no rate increase as we are still under an 8-year fixed contract with GFL. Total costs in the Water and Sewer Fund decreased this year by $550,000. However, that reduction is entirely due to grant-funded sewer line televising costs in the prior year, which were offset by grant revenue. Unfortunately, the elimination of these costs does not affect water and sewer rates. The water rates from the Great Lakes Water Authority increased 3% this year. Due to the COVID crisis, the GLWA is delaying their rate increase to October 1st, which will save the ratepayers approximately $220,000. This discount has been passed on to the Sterling Heights ratepayers. Macomb County Public Works has increased their rates to the city 4.8%. This is a reduction of the original proposed rate increase of 5.1% and includes savings passed on from the GLWA through to Macomb County. The bulk of the Macomb County increase is related to a 26% increase in debt service due to the city's share of new debt issued by the Oakland-Macomb Interceptor District for sewer line rehabilitation. Another variable that significantly influences water and sewer rates is usage. Nearly 80% of water and 100% of sewer costs are fixed. Unfortunately, that means that lower usage actually increases the rate per unit we must charge to cover the system's cost. Overall usage on the GLWA system, and even nationally, has been declining over the last decade, and Sterling Heights is no exception. The city has seen a decline in usage of nearly 20%. In 2011, system usage was over 69 million cubic feet of water, while in 2019 that dropped to just over 58 million cubic feet. While there is variability due to weather conditions, the trend is showing consistently less water usage over time. Based on estimates from the GLWA and consistent with city trends, the current budget assumes a total system usage of 57 million cubic feet. This is a 6.5% drop from the usage that was used to calculate last year's rates. The budget, as it was to originally be proposed, included a 10% rate increase to account for all of these factors. However, by using savings passed on from the GLWA and Macomb County, as well as postponing the bonding for the meter replacement project, the current budget proposal includes a reduced rate increase of 5.2%. It is important to understand that although rates are increasing, over the last decade, the average user is using less water. Based on recent historical data, we have recalculated the average annual residential usage and found that it is 9,000 cubic feet as opposed to the 12,000 cubic feet that has been used for many years. Based on this new average, the average residential customer will be paying $64 per month for their water and sewer services. As you can see here, these charts based on last year's rates, we still have one of the lowest water and sewer rates of our comparable communities and the lowest rate of Macomb County cities. And now, Public Works Director Mike Moore will discuss the Public Works budget in further detail.
Thank you, Jennifer, and hello to the mayor, city council, city manager, and city attorney. I hope you all are doing well and staying safe. This is a very exciting time for the Department of Public Works as we are well underway of the construction of our new facility. Phase 1 of the project was ahead of schedule prior to the nationwide COVID-19 shutdown. However, our general contractor LaSalle is now back and progress is underway. If you haven't seen the new building, I would highly encourage you to drive by. All the walls are up, the ceiling is on, plumbing and electrical are moving quickly, and the office walls are almost complete. The building is quite the structure to see, and most importantly, we are well under budget. The entire staff at DPW is excited for the new building and has expressed a lot of appreciation for this opportunity and improvement to their overall workday. So a special thanks from DPW goes out to the City Council. We initially planned to move into the completed phase 1 of the project in mid-May. However, the stay home, stay safe order has pushed our timeline back to an estimated August move into phase 1. I've been very pleased with the progress of our building and working with both Cooney Architects and LaSalle Incorporated during this process. There are a few proposed capital items that I'd like to touch on. This year, we wanted to focus on improving a handful of retention ponds that are unsightly for residents. A $100,000 request is before you to remove and replace thousands of linear feet of fencing throughout our community to improve aesthetics. We have submitted a request for 2 tandem axle dump trucks that will haul materials for repairs, pull trailers and equipment, and most importantly, plow snow and salt during the winter months. These 2 trucks will replace trucks that were placed into service in 1998 and 2000 and have 22 and 20 years of service respectively. For the sewer division, a flatbed dump truck is being requested to replace a 2004 truck that is utilized in the repair of utility structures, which includes the ever popular catch basins that we all hear about. If approved, the 2004 truck will be placed in more of a backup role, which will allow us to remove a 1996 flatbed truck from service and sell at auction. In addition to catch basin repair, the Department of Public Works is also seeking funding to replace 2 cement mixers utilized in the repair of the previously mentioned utility structures and catch basins. A performance objective that we will focus on this year is an enhanced fuel tracking software. Currently, we have a fuel software and a fleet maintenance repair software that do not communicate together. Our goal is to find one all-encompassing software that can perform the following: track the mileage of a vehicle and send automatic emails to the assigned vehicle operator or their supervisor, requesting they contact DPW and schedule an oil change. This way, the operator does not have to track their mileage since their last maintenance, and it's more of an effortless approach to scheduling appointments. Also, I think it'd be very helpful to have a desktop icon on every PC similar to the IT department, where any employee can click the link and easily request service on their vehicle. Items they would be expected to fill out would be their name, their department, a contact phone number, their vehicle number, and any service they need. In this section, any service they may need would be selections such as an oil change, wiper blades, maybe air conditioning recharge, or they can fill out any information they'd like. Our goal this fiscal year is to wrap our arms around the city fleet better and provide faster service and increased communication to our colleagues. Lastly, I wanted to provide an update on recycling. Following our plan to close one recycle center per year, we have decided to close the 15-mile recycle center and therefore enhance the Clinton River Recycle Center. Residents will now be able to utilize the Clinton River site by entering through Farmstead Park entrance and being greeted by a DPW employee. This employee will be checking IDs to ensure all patrons are Sterling Heights residents and checking materials they have brought to the center so that confirming they are acceptable and decreasing our efforts in lowering the contamination rates in Sterling Heights recycling. Residents can expect to be allowed into the site at a rate of a few cars at a time so we can ensure social distancing while folks are recycling. Our hours of operation will be 7:30 till 3, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. In addition to the enhanced recycling site, I have continued to pursue alternative funding sources for the possible transition to universal curbside recycling. I've submitted a grant request for $1 million to Eagle for the purchase of carts and $640,000 to the Recycle Partnership for the purchase of carts as well. Last week I spoke with representatives from Recycling Partnership, and they informed me that they were looking very favorably at my grant application of $640,000. I hope to know more from both entities within the next couple months, as either grant would significantly reduce the cost of universal curbside recycling. So more to come in the near future on that topic. I look forward to any questions you may have. And again, we appreciate City Council's support on our new building and the items proposed to you this year. Thank you.
The City Development Department consists of 5 divisions: Building, Economic Development, Engineering, Neighborhood Services, and Planning. The departmental budget is $5.1 million, which is a $70,000 or 1.4% increase over last year. Personnel costs increased $114,000 due to wage increases and health insurance costs, and other charges decreased nearly $50,000 due to a reduction in contractual services. Within city development, the engineering office oversees major and local road construction. Based on the current health crisis, revised estimates for Public Act 51 road funding revenues were received from the state of Michigan. A reduction in revenue to the city of nearly $2.4 million is projected over the next 3 fiscal years, including the current year. These reductions have been incorporated into the current year estimates and proposed budget. Despite this loss in funding, this 2020 construction season will see projects with a total cost of $23.6 million. The city portion of these projects totals $13.4 million, of which $6.1 million is included in the proposed budget. The local road fund also saw a reduction in funding from the state. However, the Safe Streets millage, which was renewed by voters for an additional 10 years, ensures that local road reconstruction will continue. $5.1 million for neighborhood road repair and reconstruction is included in the proposed budget. And now City Development Director Jason Castor will speak about his budget in more detail.
Thank you, Jennifer. I would like to take this time to highlight some of the items in the City Development 2020-2021 budget. City Development has been able to remain very productive while working at home during the pandemic. This is due to City Council approving Dell Canvas computers in last year's budget for planning and engineering. These devices proved invaluable while working at home, providing the ability to receive, review, and return developer plans digitally. Also, while working from home, the engineering department was able to continue the design of city road projects to keep them on schedule. And as Jennifer mentioned, we are on target to see $24.6 million of road work completed during the 2020 construction season, which is a slight increase from last year. This amount includes city, county, state, and federal dollars for major and local road work. These major road projects that are targeted for reconstruction this year include 19 Mile Road from Clinton River Road to Shaner, Saul Road from Clinton River Road to 19 Mile Road, Hayes Road from 14 Mile to Moravian, 18 Mile Road from DeQuinder Road to Ryan, Utica Road from Hayes Road to Shaner, and Shaner Road from Plumbrook to Clinton River Road. Many local roads will also be repaired this year due to the passage of the Safe Streets millage. If residents are interested to see if their street is scheduled for repairs or interested in project updates, keep an eye on the city's Cone Zone website for regular updates. The planning department is expanding upon their innovation and technology upgrades from last year with a request in this year's budget for Microsoft Surface Pro laptops. These laptops will be used on site while performing inspections. The Surface laptops will further integrate the digital review process, allowing the planning office to mark up and make comments directly on the development site plans while in the field. These plans can then be uploaded and sent directly to the developer. These computers will eliminate the need to flip through multiple pages of large, bulky site plans while on site. As you may imagine, windy days make dealing with paper plans on site quite a challenge. Due to the success of the Dell Canvas setup in planning and engineering, the building department has requested 5 Dell Canvas computers for the trade inspectors to reduce permit processing times and further reduce paper requirements. Currently, each inspector uses the same set or multiple sets of construction drawings to review and provide comments. The Canvas computers can consolidate and share comments as each inspector reviews their discipline on the building plans. The Dell Canvases, while not small, will take up less desk space than a set of construction plans, which sometimes require the use of a conference table. Furthering the use of innovation and technology, while construction was halted and work slowed a bit as a result of COVID-19, the building department was hard at work developing a new virtual inspections program. The building department is ready to launch this program and will begin presenting this option to residents and contractors now that construction is starting back up. This exciting new program will allow for certain inspections to be completed from the office or other remote locations with the use of FaceTime or Zoom. The inspections can then be approved at the conclusion of the virtual inspection via email. There are many common inspections that qualify for virtual inspections for building and commercial projects, including many trade inspections for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Also, the re-inspections of minor deficiencies will qualify for virtual inspections. Virtual inspections provides a valuable option to residents and companies who may have site security concerns as well. In addition, the timing lines up with the current requirements from the CDC for safe distancing. This concludes my update, and I thank you for the consideration of the City Development 2020-2021 budget. Stay safe.
The Community Relations budget totals $1.5 million, a $26,000 or 1.8% increase over last year. Personnel costs increased slightly due to wage and health insurance increases. Other charges increased primarily due to a planned increase in Sterling Fest costs, which is offset by an increase in Sterling Fest revenue. If it is determined that the festival cannot be held this year due to the current health crisis, both the expense and the revenue will be eliminated, and the overall impact on general fund balance will be minimal. And now Community Relations Director Melanie Davis will discuss her budget in further detail.
Thanks, Jennifer. So the community relations budget really remains very similar to this past year, but I will highlight a few items. There are no significant capital expenditures to community relations this year, other than roughly $1,000 for a personal computer that is in scheduled rotation to be replaced in 2020-21. As far as the operating budget is concerned, the Arts Commission remains the same. There is an addition to the Beautification Commission budget of $2,000. That is for Sterling Heights to host the Beautification Council of Southeastern Michigan quarterly meeting this year. Community beautification commissions throughout Southeast Michigan, they rotate hosting this annual event, and the Sterling Heights Beautification Commission hosts it about every 7 years. So while this is an addition to our budget this year, we should see this expenditure drop back off again in 2021-22. We will not be renewing our media monitoring service this year, which will offset some small increases in software licensing fees for the general operating budget and community relations. Other than those things, there really haven't been any material changes to the community relations budget for 2020-21. Regarding our performance indicators, we've done a couple of things of note that I'd like to mention. First, we were able to obtain resident emails from across various departments in the city, and we imported those into our constant contact database so that we were able to more than double the number of residents who received this important information from the city. In addition to that, we began generating a weekly city news e-blast to that list during the recent pandemic, and we do plan on continuing that moving forward. This has resulted in an additional 500 residents who have subscribed to this communication over the past couple of months, taking our total resident subscription to 10,611 on that list. Due to the recent public health crisis and the information we've been providing on our website, as well as our social media channels, we have also seen a significant increase in the number of hits to our website homepage and our followers on social media. We saw a 30% increase in the number of hits to our homepage in March. And in addition, the average reach of our Facebook posts has increased by 30% to 42,571 people. In the last 2 months alone, we have gained 1,000 Facebook followers and 250 new Twitter followers. So that's a substantial increase over what we normally see. And I know it's because residents are eager to get more information about what the city is doing pertaining to the pandemic, our closure, city services, etc. Noting that there has been this increase in demand for content and services through electronic means, we've also created a few ways to showcase all of the ways that residents can transact with the city of Sterling Heights without ever leaving their home. We are calling these at-home services, and we have created a direct URL that we can promote at sterling-heights.net/at-home services. We've also created a two-sided flyer, and we've created some retractable banners that will also be put up in City Hall that will promote our at-home services, all to highlight the many, many ways that our residents can get their business done with the city safely and from the comfort of home via phone, email, or the internet. These services are broad, and they really cover everything from requesting a permit to paying a bill to signing up for an absentee ballot, getting a dog license, all the way down to getting a library card and even signing up for getting tutoring for help with homework while children are not able to go to school. So we will continue to promote these services via social media, through our weekly e-blasts, and more during this period of social distancing, and we plan to continue to do that even beyond. So those were a couple of highlights from our budget for this coming year, as well as some of the things that we were able to do with our performance indicators in 2019-2020. So thank you for the opportunity to share that.
The Parks and Recreation Fund decreased by nearly $10 million this year due to the near completion of all the construction funded through the Recreating Recreation millage. Personnel costs increased $260,000 or 10%, primarily due to additional part-time wages to staff the new community center. Supplies and other charges also increased for new programming and janitorial services for the center and for the update of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which is required to apply for future grant funding. And now Kyle Langlois, the Parks and Recreation Director, will discuss his budget in further detail.
Thank you, Jennifer. Fiscal year 2020-2021 will cap off what has been a very busy 3 years of construction throughout the park system and in our facilities. With the green light from the governor, construction has restarted for the year and will be going strong through the 2020 construction season. As we speak today, the community center punch list is being completed, and we will be ready to resume operations in a fully functional and completed building once the CDC guidelines shift to our favor. We estimate that this punch list work will be completed by the end of June. Concurrently, the last round of neighborhood parks are being finished as well. By the end of July, we expect to have Farmstead, Nelson, Carpathia, Magnolia, and Mark Sawyer's family parks completed 100%.
The month of July will also hopefully bring us the opening of the long-anticipated dog park at Delia Park, which has been rescheduled to July 7th due to COVID-19. Lastly, we plan to use the remaining months of the year to finish off the nature trail at Delia Park and at least get a head start on the indoor bocce ball facility at the senior center. In all, we may have been delayed a bit, but the end is still very much so in sight. In the Recreating Recreation operational budget, we have once again proposed to use $100,000 to replace picnic tables, garbage cans, and benches throughout our park system, which will be focused at the parks just highlighted. And this will inch us closer to having a consistent product throughout our park system that is both permanent and aesthetically pleasing. As for the operational Parks and Recreation Department's operational budget, we have proposed a budget that continues to focus on supporting our programs and events as well as the parks. With the plan to get back to some semblance of normal operation in the first few months of the fiscal year, I am happy to report that the proposed budget involves many new programs and services for our residents, from toddlers to senior citizens and all ages in between. The focus will be on using the community center spaces for new recreational opportunities like adult volleyball and basketball leagues and a dodgeball program for military veterans, a variety of team programs ranging from STEM to life skills classes, a drop-in program for our youngest residents, and an expansion of our popular dance, exercise, and gymnastics classes. We have taken the feedback received from our residents to form these new opportunities, and we will continue to develop new ways to use the community center moving forward. The upcoming fiscal year will provide even more data for us to use as our catalog of offerings constantly evolves. With the ability to move some of the larger senior center classes to the new building, this also has paved the way for new programs at the senior center, including a pickleball league and instructional classes, as well as the expansion of our very popular arthritis exercise classes to a second day per week. Lastly, the budget calls for a small uptick in hours for our transportation program so that we can expand services to our 50 and older non-driving residents, which includes bringing seniors to evening and weekend special events, as well as supporting the transportation needs of the residents at Shaner Towers. The final piece of the fiscal year 2021 budget, I would like to discuss the purchase of necessary equipment to complete park maintenance tasks on a day-to-day basis. The first piece is a multifaceted articulated loader that can accept over 100 different quick connect attachments, essentially allowing us to have one piece of equipment instead of many. This type of arrangement allows us to minimize storage space, annual maintenance, and excessive upfront costs. The equipment will be used for most every function in our department, including special events, the setup and removal of the ice rink, ball field repairs and maintenance, clearing our trails of debris and sand after a flood, and trimming back foliage overgrowth. The second piece of equipment is a smaller utility vehicle to be stored at Delia Park. This will allow us to effectively maintain our largest single park space, including garbage removal at fields, the dog park, and the soon-to-be completed nature trail. This will also be an effective tool for our staff to help monitor the trail for unwanted behavior without having to bring a full-size truck on it. Bringing a full-size truck on that trail on a day-to-day basis will certainly cause damage with all that driving. I thank you in advance for your continued support of the Parks and Recreation Department and for your consideration of our proposed budget.
Thank you for taking the time to view this video about the proposed budget for the City of Sterling Heights for 2021. The budget will be introduced at the City Council meeting on June 2nd and adopted at the City Council meeting on June 16th. If you would like to learn more about the city budget, please visit our website at www.sterling-heights.net. Thank you and stay safe.